The Vega Crown station floated silently against the black velvet of space, its skeletal metal framework illuminated only by the pale blue glow of distant stars. Inside, the station hummed with mechanical life, the low resonance of its power cores vibrating through the floor and walls, a heartbeat for a place forgotten by most of the galaxy. Nathan knelt on the grated metal floor of the maintenance bay, hands wrapped around a bundle of exposed wires. Sparks flickered from the edges of the conduit as he delicately realigned the circuits. Every movement was precise, practiced, a ritual of logic in a world where chaos often reigned supreme. His eyes scanned the readings on his wrist console, interpreting the subtle fluctuations of energy with the ease of someone who had spent decades in the service of machines. It was quiet, too quiet, and Nathan liked it that way, until he sensed a presence. From the corner of his eye, a shadow shifted, subtle but deliberate, weaving between support beams and storage units. His hand instinctively went to the sidearm clipped to his belt, but something about the movement froze him in place. She stepped into the light. Lyra. She was a study in contradictions. Poised yet alert, graceful yet lethal, her copper eyes scanning the bay with a mixture of curiosity and wariness. The metallic hum of the station bounced off her armor, giving her an almost ethereal glow in the dim light. "You're not supposed to be here," Nathan said, his voice low, cautious. "Not a question." "A statement, I know," she replied, her tone calm but sharp. "I didn't come to play games." Nathan arched a brow. "Then why are you here?" Lyra paused, tilting her head slightly. "Because you're the only one who sees the world as it truly is. Everyone else is either blinded by rules, fear, or ambition. You see the truth. That makes you dangerous." Nathan felt the weight of her words. Dangerous. He had spent his life avoiding that label. He had chosen machines over people, logic over emotion, solitude over confrontation, and yet standing before her he realized that danger might not always be a curse, it could be a responsibility. The silence stretched, broken only by the hiss of the cooling system and the occasional buzz of sparks from his repair work. Nathan's fingers worked automatically, reconnecting circuits, aligning energy conduits with surgical precision. Lyra moved closer, stepping over the grated floor panels as if she had been trained to move without a sound. "You're good," she said, almost admiringly. "I fix things," Nathan replied. "That's different." "Not really," she countered, her voice softening yet still sharp. "Fixing things can save lives. Or destroy them. One wrong move, one misjudged calculation, and someone dies. Sometimes quietly, sometimes spectacularly." Nathan paused, hand hovering over a live conductor. She was right. In this station, abandoned to routine maintenance and the slow decay of age, no one would hear the screams. No one would mourn the casualties. But someone had to care. Someone had to act. "You're not here to sabotage the station," he finally said. "No," she said, her voice firm, unwavering. "I'm here to find the truth. And maybe to find you." Nathan's eyes narrowed. "Me?" Lyra smiled faintly, just a twitch at the corner of her mouth. "You're the one who fixes things in a galaxy that prefers broken solutions. That makes you essential." Essential. The word landed differently in Nathan's chest. He had lived his life thinking he was alone, irrelevant, another cog in the unfeeling machine of galactic bureaucracy. But here she was, recognizing a potential he hadn't even seen in himself. For a long moment, they just watched each other. The maintenance bay, with its hanging tools, buzzing conduits, and pools of reflected light, became a stage for something neither of them fully understood. A spark had been struck, a delicate, dangerous ignition that would grow into a fire capable of reshaping the galaxy. Nathan returned to the power core he had been repairing, sparks dancing along the copper coils as he adjusted the alignment. Lyra circled slowly, eyes taking in every detail. The scuffed walls, the exposed panels, the quiet precision of a man who could dismantle the machinery of the universe without leaving a trace. "You ever think about why no one comes here?" she asked quietly, almost to herself. Nathan glanced up, wiping sweat from his brow. Isolation has its advantages. Few eyes, fewer interruptions. And sometimes, it's safer this way. Lyra's eyes softened for just a moment. Safe, yes, until someone comes who doesn't care about safety. Until someone decides to change everything. Nathan frowned. "And that's what you're doing?" "I don't know yet," she admitted. "But I think the first step is finding people who care enough to act. People like you. Nathan leaned back, eyes on the glowing circuits. The hum of the station seemed louder now, a resonance of potential energy waiting to be released. He had always thought his life would be quiet, predictable, small. And yet in that moment he realized that quiet was a lie. The galaxy was waiting, chaotic, corrupt, and dangerous, and maybe, just maybe, someone had to light the match. Lyra stepped closer, her hand brushing lightly against a conduit. "You could walk away," she said softly. "Most people would, but you didn't. That's why I'm here. That's why we're here." Nathan exhaled slowly, looking at her, really seeing her for the first time. "Then we'll do it," he said quietly. "Not because it's easy, but because it's necessary," Lyra nodded. A subtle grin curved her lips. "Then let's start." And with that, the hum of the station was no longer just a mechanical heartbeat. It was a prelude, a signal that two people, strangers in a universe of shadows and lies, had begun to weave their fates together. The Vega Crown Station, forgotten by the galaxy, was about to become the birthplace of something dangerous, something hopeful, and something that would echo across the stars. Nathan didn't know it yet. Lyra didn't know it yet. But together they were about to ignite a spark that would ripple across the galaxy. The Vega Crown Station seemed quiet again, but the stillness was deceptive. Every corridor, every maintenance hatch, every flickering light could hide eyes, cameras, or worse, traps designed to catch anyone bold enough to uncover the Council's secrets. Nathan adjusted his suit, the radiation filters and magnetic boots clicking into place with a soft metallic rhythm. Beside him, Lyra moved like a shadow, fluid and precise, her copper eyes scanning the empty corridors for anomalies. "Timing is everything," Nathan murmured, checking the chrono display on his wrist. "Waste processing port opens in 4 minutes. "That's our window," Lyra nodded. 4 minutes. No margin for error. "You ready?" He allowed himself a faint smile. "I've never been more ready." The port itself loomed ahead, a massive chamber sealed by a colossal iris that glinted in the pale starlight streaming through the station's hull. Every 6 hours it opened to eject processed materials into the sun's gravity well. Nathan's plan was simple in theory: enter, reach the maintenance hatch, and override the security protocols with his scrambler. In practice, it was a knife-edge operation with zero room for mistakes. As the iris began to dilate, Lyra and Nathan activated their minimal thrusters. The station's gravity clung stubbornly, but the magnetic boots engaged with a satisfying click. They were two small figures against the vast blackness of space, hurtling toward the gaping maw of the waste processing port. Inside, red warning lights painted the chamber like a hellscape. Steam hissed from vents, sparks danced along conduits, and the radiation counter on Nathan's suit ticked up alarmingly. 20 minutes just became 15, he muttered. Lyra took the lead, guiding them through the maze of conduits and machinery. Every turn was familiar to Nathan only because he had memorized the blueprints during a sleepless night weeks ago. The maintenance hatch was where it was supposed to be, but now it was sealed with a biometric lock Nathan didn't recognize. "Military grade," he muttered, inspecting the scanner. "Installed recently. They knew we were coming." "Or just paranoid," Lyra replied, her voice calm, unflinching. Nathan pulled out the scrambler, a small device bristling with blinking lights and hidden circuits. But before he could engage it, the hatch swung open. Sarah stood there, her presence commanding even in the dim light. The Admiral's dress uniform clung to her frame, insignia gleaming faintly. "About time," she said. "I was beginning to think you'd gotten lost." Nathan's eyes widened. "Sarah? How? I know you, little brother," she interrupted, her voice soft but sharp. "You always take the path everyone thinks is impossible. Come on. We don't have much time." Their journey through the maintenance corridors was eerie. Each security checkpoint was mysteriously unmanned, every camera misaligned, every electronic sensor seemingly asleep. "You arranged this?" Lyra asked, suspicion edged in her tone. "I've been arranging this for 3 years," Sarah replied quietly. "Ever since I discovered the truth about our parents. I've been building my own network, people embedded in the system but waiting for someone to spark change." Nathan exchanged a glance with Lyra. "And we're that spark?" Sarah smiled faintly. "You walked away when most would have compromised their conscience. That made all the difference." Ahead, a security door demanded Admiral-level clearance. Sarah placed her hand on the scanner, but the lock remained unyielding. "Someone knows we're here," she said, frowning. From the other side, Commander Rachel Price appeared, flanked by a dozen armored guards, but instead of attacking, they lowered their weapons. Exhaustion replaced her usual sharp efficiency. "I'm here to help," she said. Nathan's hand hovered over his sidearm. "This is a trap." "No trap," Price said. "Just someone tired of the game. Tired of sending good people to die for the Council's profit." The group moved quickly, descending deeper into the station. The corridors became austere, the air colder, the lights harsher. Finally, they reached the data core, a sphere of quantum processors suspended in a null-gravity chamber, accessible by a single narrow bridge. Nathan's breath caught. "Beautiful. Terrifying." Price handed Sarah a datapad. "Every member of the Council is in emergency session. We have 30 minutes before anyone notices." Nathan studied her warily. "Why, you're risking everything." Price's voice hardened. "Because your sister convinced me there's another way. And because I have a daughter, I can't live with seeing innocent children sacrificed for political games." The scrambler activated. Streams of data flowed across the screens. Names, financial records, decades of conspiracies, and plans for future conflicts. Nathan's eyes widened. This was the skeleton of a galactic-scale machine exposed in raw, unfiltered truth. Before they could celebrate, alarms blared. Morrison appeared, clad in powered armor, carrying a weapon of Nathan's own design. "Did you really think it would be that easy?" he demanded, voice amplified by the speakers in his armor. "You underestimated the Council's reach. Every person in your network has been identified and will be arrested." Nathan didn't flinch. "You assumed we were trying to save the network." He activated a second device, a quantum recorder transmitting every movement, every thought, every biometric pattern to a distributed blockchain. Morrison's face paled behind the helmet. "Quantum recordings are impossible to falsify," Nathan said calmly. "The Council can't lie anymore." "The truth will be seen by everyone." Morrison hesitated, then slowly lowered his weapon. The battle wasn't over, but the scales had shifted. Nathan, Lyra, Sarah, and Price had become the tip of a spear that could reshape the galaxy. Nathan glanced at Lyra. "Are you ready to light the match?" Lyra's copper eyes met his, fierce and unyielding. "Always." And in that moment, the Vega Crown Station was no longer just a forgotten outpost. It had become the birthplace of rebellion, hope, and the promise of a new order. The shadows of the Prometheus Council might be vast, but so was the light Nathan and Lyra carried. The corridors of Vega Crown Station were quieter than they should have been. Too quiet. Every panel and conduit seemed to hum a hidden rhythm, like the heartbeat of a predator lying in wait. Red warning lights cast jittering shadows across walls lined with exposed conduits and panels that hissed with vented energy. Nathan's boots echoed against the metal floor. "I don't like this," he muttered, checking his chronometer. The waste processing intake had closed behind them, sealing them inside. Their window to enter had been narrow, but it had worked. 4 minutes to cross the chamber, and then we're in the maintenance area. "After that?" His voice trailed, heavy with uncertainty. Lyra didn't answer immediately. Her copper eyes scanned every shadow. "After that, we either succeed or die. No room for mistakes." Nathan nodded but felt the weight of her words. Every mission had risks, but this felt different. The maintenance hatch appeared ahead, a stark rectangle in the metallic wall. But the lock was unfamiliar, sophisticated military-grade encryption Nathan hadn't seen before. "That's new," he said quietly. "Military biometric, recently installed." "They knew we were coming," Lyra said, voice low but tense. Nathan raised an eyebrow. "Or they're paranoid." Big difference. Before he could scramble the lock, the hatch slid open from the inside. Nathan froze. Sarah, his sister, standing there in full Admiral regalia, eyes sharp and unwavering. "About time," she said. Relief and impatience mingled in her tone. "You always take the path everyone thinks is impossible." Nathan stared at her, disbelief written across his face. "Sarah, how—" "I know you, Nathan," she interrupted gently. "I know you better than anyone. If anyone could get this far, it would be you. Now step aside." Lyra's eyes narrowed. "Step aside? Or are we walking into another trap?" Sarah's expression softened, but her voice was firm. "No trap. I've been waiting for you. Waiting for the right people to act." Nathan's heart raced. "Waiting? For us? We're not alone?" "Not even close," Sarah replied, motioning them through the hatch. 3 years, Nathan. Since I discovered the truth about our parents, I've been building a network. People trapped inside the system, forced to follow orders they knew were wrong. Admirals, commanders, scientists, anyone willing to risk everything for change. Lyra's tone was incredulous. You've been doing this. Alone? Sarah shook her head. Not alone. But I needed someone from outside the system to show that walking away isn't enough. That it's possible to act without destroying yourself in the process. That's why you were important. Nathan ran a hand over his face. So all those times I thought we were alone. We weren't. He looked at Lyra, whose expression had softened with understanding. We have allies. Real ones. People with stakes, Sarah added. People who've watched too long as good intentions were twisted into monstrosities. They were waiting for someone willing to take the first step. Lyra's voice was calm but firm. And if we fail? Nathan's gaze hardened. Then at least we'll fail knowing we tried. But I don't intend to fail. Sarah stepped closer. I couldn't do this without you. You've chosen conscience over career, integrity over security. You've already shown them what's possible. Now it's time to show them what's right. The trio moved deeper into the station, corridors growing narrower, more secure, each step echoing the weight of their mission. Lyra broke the silence. And the stakes? Because I'm not here just to play hero. Why risk your lives, your careers, your sanity? Sarah's eyes flickered with pain. Because I have a daughter, 6 years old. The same age as some of the children on that convoy. I can't bear to see them suffer for the decisions of a few men in power. Nathan looked at her, realization dawning. So it's personal, but not just revenge. You want to prevent more victims. Yes, she said, but not through destruction. Through action. And through allies who understand the cost. Lyra's lips curved in a small, almost imperceptible smile. Seems like I picked the right team after all. Nathan allowed himself a small smile, then glanced at the chronometer again. Time's ticking. The core is ahead. We move carefully but quickly. Sarah nodded. You're not alone, Nathan. Lyra. We're all in this together. For the first time since the mission began, Nathan felt the faint stirrings of hope. They had allies. A network that could turn the tide. But the moral weight of their actions pressed upon them. Every decision could mean life or death for hundreds, perhaps thousands. Lyra's voice cut through his thoughts. Then let's not waste any more time. The Council didn't just plan wars. They planned decades of them. It ends here, Nathan nodded. Agreed. And this time we fight with truth, not just firepower. Nathan, Lyra, and Sarah moved cautiously through the maintenance corridors. The hum of the station surrounded them, punctuated by occasional clanks and the hiss of venting steam. Every shadow seemed to stretch like a warning. Nathan glanced at Lyra. Every checkpoint we pass, every camera, every guard, how many of them are real threats and how many are just illusions? Lyra's copper eyes scanned a panel ahead. This station is designed to be confusing even for its own operators. Dead ends, fake corridors, misaligned cameras. It's psychological warfare, Nathan. Every corner is meant to make you doubt yourself. Sarah gave a small nod. That's why we have the network. They've been feeding me layouts, blind spots, security rotations, people who still want to do the right thing but can't risk defying the Council openly. Nathan raised an eyebrow. And you've been building this network for 3 years? Unnoticed? Unnoticed because I was careful. Because I learned from watching our parents. Sarah said quietly. They tried to expose the system. They failed. But they left clues, Nathan. Clues for the ones willing to see them. Lyra's voice softened. So that's why you trusted us. Because we're willing to act, even without the certainty of success. Nathan's jaw tightened. Acting without certainty. It's a risk we've always taken. But the stakes now, they're higher than ever. Sarah stopped suddenly, motioning them to pause. Ahead, a security door required admiral-level clearance. Nathan's heart skipped. That's a problem. Sarah approached the scanner. Her hand hovered over the biometric terminal. Nothing happened. Lockdown, she muttered, frowning. Someone knows we're here. Nathan's hand went instinctively to his scrambler. Can you override it? Not from here, we need to. Before she could finish, the door opened from the other side. Commander Rachel Price appeared, flanked by a dozen guards in full combat armor. Nathan tensed, ready for a fight. But the guards didn't raise their weapons. Instead, they stepped aside, standing at ease. Sarah exhaled. Rachel. Price's voice was formal, yet weary. Admiral Cole. Dr. Vale. I suppose you're here to stop us. Lyra's grip tightened on her weapon. Or maybe to test us. No trap, Price said, exhaustion replacing her usual sharp efficiency. I'm here to help. Nathan's hand hovered over his weapon. This is a lot to trust. Price shook her head. I know. But after years of following orders that were wrong, I can't anymore. I've been watching your progress, Sarah. Waiting for the right moment. Sarah's eyes softened. Months of intel, Rachel. You've been feeding me information the entire time. You knew Nathan had been captured at Kronos. You helped plan this moment. Nathan glanced at Lyra. So our allies aren't just people we've found. They're people embedded in the system, risking everything. Price nodded. Exactly. And now the only way forward is to work together. To take the Council down from the inside while protecting those who can't protect themselves. Lyra's copper eyes met Nathan's. We've walked into a web, Nathan, and it's more tangled than we imagined. Nathan's fingers brushed the edge of his scrambler. A web, yes, but a web can be unraveled, thread by thread, if we know where to pull. Sarah led them deeper, their steps measured. Each corridor, each intersection was a lesson in patience and precision. Security cameras pivoted lazily, guards shifted positions, but thanks to the network, each threat was anticipated, neutralized without bloodshed. Nathan found himself thinking about their parents, about the sacrifices made, the secrets kept. The weight of legacy pressed down on him, heavy but instructive. Do you ever think about them? Lyra asked softly, breaking the silence. Nathan nodded. Every day. Their courage, their failures, their hope. It's what drives me. And now it drives us all. Sarah glanced at him, a mixture of pride and worry in her eyes. We're carrying more than our own lives here. Every choice, every risk. It affects thousands, maybe millions. Lyra's expression hardened. And yet here we are. Choosing action over inaction, choosing hope over fear. Nathan felt a spark of determination. Exactly. That's what separates us from the Council. They made decisions for others, assuming control. We're giving people the chance to choose, to act for themselves. As they approached the core's access point, the air seemed to thrum with energy, almost alive. The data core itself, a massive sphere of suspended quantum processors, awaited them. Its surface shimmered with patterns of light that danced like living circuits. Beautiful, Nathan breathed. And terrifying. Sarah handed Nathan the scrambler. You'll need this. The core's encryption adapts every few seconds. I can guide the physical access, but the quantum locks, that's your domain. Nathan took the device, feeling its weight, the responsibility it represented. Let's do this. Lyra's eyes met his. Together. Nathan nodded, and with a deep breath, they stepped into the chamber, the hum of quantum processors enveloping them. Outside, the station seemed to hold its breath, waiting to see if they would succeed or fail. Nathan adjusted the scrambler's interface, his fingers moving with precision over the holographic controls. The quantum core's encryption pulses were erratic, almost taunting. Every second they hesitated, the Council's hidden failsafes could activate. Lyra paced slightly, studying the floating sphere. It's not just a data core. It's a fortress, and it knows we're here. Fortress or not, Nathan said. It hasn't accounted for human ingenuity. And 3 people who refuse to give up. Sarah frowned at him. 3 people? Nathan, you forget Price. She's part of this too. Nathan glanced at Commander Rachel Price, who gave a small nod of affirmation. Right, 4 then. Still 4 people against decades of entrenched systems. It's a long shot, Lyra muttered. Long shot or not, it's the only shot we have. The chamber hummed louder as the scrambler interfaced with the quantum core. Streams of light traced along its surface like the veins of some gigantic breathing organism. Nathan felt a twinge of awe mixed with apprehension. This was no ordinary theft of information. This was a full-scale extraction from the nerve center of the galaxy's shadow power. Ready? Sarah asked, her voice tight with focus. Nathan nodded. On my mark. The scrambler pulsed, sending ripples of electromagnetic interference into the core. Lights flickered and twisted, almost like the sphere was alive and aware of their intrusion. Suddenly, a warning blared across the chamber. Unauthorized access detected. Red lights bathed the room. Lyra ducked instinctively. So much for subtle. Nathan's fingers flew across the interface. Adaptive encryption is countering our scrambler pulses. I need more time. Sarah's voice was calm but insistent. Nathan, the window won't last long. Security rotations will hit in less than 3 minutes. Nathan swallowed. I know, I just need to align the quantum signatures precisely. One misstep and the system could lock us out. Or worse. Lyra stepped closer, placing a hand briefly on his shoulder. You'll do it. We're all counting on you. Nathan met her gaze, seeing a mixture of fear, trust, and determination reflected back at him. He took a deep breath and centered himself. For decades, the Prometheus Council had operated in shadows, manipulating entire civilizations for profit and control. Now this was their moment. Their chance to shift the balance, to turn decades of corruption into transparency. The scrambler pulsed again, synchronizing with Nathan's neural input. He felt the system's defenses probing, trying to anticipate his next move. A misstep would trigger lockdown protocols, potentially detonating self-defense measures. Almost there, Nathan muttered. His pulse raced. Just one more alignment. Lyra and Sarah stood tense beside him, watching the core shimmer and warp in response to the scrambler's interference. Then, with a sudden cascade of light, the encryption began to yield. The core's defenses retracted, streams of data flowing outward into the scrambler. Nathan's eyes widened. It's working. The data is coming through. Sarah's lips pressed together in relief. We're not just exposing them. We're collecting the entire blueprint of their operations. Names, dates, financial flows, manipulations. Lyra's gaze darkened. And the human cost. Wars engineered, colonies exploited, lives destroyed for profit. Nathan exhaled. Every calculation they've ever made. Every contingency. Every lie they've told the galaxy. A sudden tremor ran through the chamber, followed by a deep mechanical roar. They know, Lyra said sharply. They're coming. Through the chamber viewport, figures in powered armor began moving rapidly through the corridors. Morrison was leading them, unmistakable even from this distance. His weapon systems glinted ominously, his expression unreadable behind the helmet. Then we make them regret it, Nathan muttered, fingers never leaving the scrambler. Sarah placed a hand on his arm. Careful. Morrison's not just a soldier, he's a strategist. He'll anticipate every move we make if we act rashly. Nathan nodded. I know. That's why we finish the extraction first. Then we improvise. Lyra's copper eyes narrowed. Improvisation, huh? Sounds like our specialty. The red warning lights intensified, shadows leaping across the chamber as Morrison's team approached. The station's ventilation system hissed, releasing clouds of steam that twisted like specters around the three of them. Nathan's mind raced. Quantum encryption, scrambler alignment, data extraction, containment protocols. Every parameter had to be perfect. One wrong calculation and everything could collapse. Got it, Nathan shouted, as the final quantum signature aligned. The scrambler pulsed violently, sending a wave of disruptive energy through the core. Streams of raw data flowed into the portable interface, the entire Prometheus Council database now securely captured. Sarah's eyes widened. Nathan, you did it. Lyra let out a breath she didn't realize she'd been holding. Finally, we have it, but celebration was brief. The chamber's main door groaned under a violent force. Morrison and his team had arrived. Nathan glanced at Lyra and Sarah. Ready for Plan B? Lyra smirked, adjusting her weapon. Always. Sarah's fingers flew across a secondary terminal. I've prepared countermeasures. Non-lethal but highly effective. We hold them off long enough to secure the data. Nathan's pulse surged. Then let's finish what we started. For our parents. For the galaxy. For everyone who's been manipulated by shadows for decades. They braced themselves as the doors burst open, light spilling across the chamber, illuminating the three figures standing defiant against the approaching storm. The metallic hum of Terra Station filled the corridors as Nathan, Lyra, and Sarah moved cautiously through the maintenance ducts. Every step echoed softly, a reminder that the station, despite its emptiness, was alive with surveillance. Red warning lights flickered intermittently along the walls, casting long, distorted shadows. Nathan's heart thumped in rhythm with the distant mechanical pulse of the station. "You really have been planning this for years?" Lyra asked, her voice low, almost incredulous. Sarah nodded without hesitation, her gaze fixed ahead. 3 years. Every piece, every alliance, every contingency. You think I just stumbled into a rebellion? No, I've been building a lifeline inside a system designed to crush anyone who resists it. I learned from our parents' mistakes. Nathan's jaw tightened. And yet you waited for me. Not just you, she said, glancing at Lyra. I waited for someone who wouldn't let the system corrupt them entirely. Someone who could show others that resistance isn't just possible, it's necessary. Lyra raised an eyebrow, curiosity and skepticism warring in her eyes. So all those empty corridors, unmanned checkpoints. That was you, Sarah smiled faintly. And my network. Every person I've recruited knew the risk but trusted the plan. Most never believed it would reach this far. That's why you mattered. You gave them hope, Nathan. Nathan exhaled slowly, the weight of her words pressed against his chest. Hope? It's dangerous, he muttered. Exactly, Sarah replied, her voice steady. Hope is why we survive. Fear is what they use to control. They turned a corner into a wider maintenance bay, where the mechanical heart of the station pulsed with life. Massive conduits pumping coolant, plasma conduits sparking faint blue arcs across the ceiling, and the omnipresent hum of power generators vibrating through the floor. Here the air smelled of ozone and metal polish, a stark reminder of the human ingenuity that ran the station. Nathan tapped his chronometer. We've got a 4-minute window. Once the waste processing intake closes, we're cut off. Minimal thrusters, magnetic boots. We can't afford a mistake. Lyra moved beside him, scanning the environment with her copper eyes, sharpened over years of battlefield experience. I hate that you make it sound so simple, she said, tone laced with dry humor. Nathan gave her a brief smile. Simple is relative. Survival? That's never simple. Before they could proceed, a soft metallic click echoed behind a sealed hatch. Nathan immediately drew his weapon, but before he could aim, the door slid open. There, standing with an almost serene authority, was Sarah's ally, Commander Rachel Price. Her usual sharp efficiency was softened by exhaustion, but her eyes held the same fire Nathan had come to recognize. Price? Sarah said cautiously. I'm here to help, Rachel said, her tone firm but calm. Not to stop you, Nathan's fingers itched on his weapon. This is a trap. No one's ever just helping in the Prometheus system. Price shook her head. I was a cog in the machine. I've seen too many lives lost to policies I knew were wrong. It ends now if we're willing to act. Lyra lowered her weapon slightly, curiosity piqued. You're telling me you're a good guy now? Just like that? No, Price said quietly. I'm telling you I'm human enough to know when to stop following orders. That's all that matters here. The group moved deeper into the maintenance corridors, guided by Sarah's meticulous knowledge of the station's hidden pathways. Every step brought them closer to the heart of the Prometheus Council's data hub. Along the way, Sarah shared fragments of the network she'd built. Allies hidden in military fleets, intelligence offices, and research divisions across multiple systems. Each had been waiting, knowing the right spark could ignite a rebellion. Nathan's mind raced. All these people, they're risking everything. For what? For the truth, Sarah replied. For a future where the next generation doesn't have to die for someone else's profit. Lyra was silent, absorbing the enormity of what they were about to attempt. And you think exposing the council is enough? No, Nathan said, voice low but firm. We need to show them the alternative. Transparency, accountability. Let people choose. That's what will end the cycle. Ahead, the maintenance hatch was sealed with a biometric scanner Nathan didn't recognize. He knelt, examining the panel, then pulled out his scrambler. Just as he was about to activate it, the hatch opened from the inside. Standing there in a grimly confident pose was Sarah. About time, she said. I was starting to think you'd gotten lost. Nathan stared at his sister. How did you know we'd come through the waste processing intake? I know you, little brother, she said simply. You always take the path everyone else thinks is impossible. I counted on it. Together, the trio moved through corridors that should have been heavily guarded, only to find every checkpoint mysteriously unmanned, cameras misdirected and security logs altered. Nathan's mind raced as he realized the full extent of Sarah's network. This is brilliant, he muttered. Or terrifying, Lyra countered. You've got spies everywhere. How do we know they're all trustworthy? Sarah's expression was calm, unwavering. Because I've known them for years. Every one of them has chosen conscience over convenience. When it's time, they act. As they approached the data core, the tension in the air thickened. The core itself was a sphere of quantum processors, suspended in a null-gravity chamber, connected by glowing conduits and holographic readouts, flickering with streams of encrypted data. Beautiful, Nathan breathed, eyes wide. Terrifying. It's both, Sarah said. Everything important is both. Nathan handed her the scrambler. The adaptive encryption on the core shifted every few seconds. A digital fortress designed to withstand even the most skilled intruders. Ready? He asked. Sarah's fingers hovered over the controls. As I'll ever be. Data began flowing across the screens. Names, dates, financial records, even plans for future conflicts. The magnitude of the conspiracy unfolded before them. Lyra's fists clenched. They've been planning this for decades, deciding which colonies are expendable, who dies, who profits. Nathan's eyes hardened. Then we end it now. Before they could finish, alarms blared across the station. Morrison appeared, clad in prototype armor Nathan had once designed himself. The weight of dread hit them all. Morrison's voice was amplified, cold and mocking. Did you really think it would be that easy? Nathan's mind raced. We need a plan fast. Morrison advanced, weapon raised. Nathan and Lyra positioned themselves strategically. Sarah's fingers flew over the terminal, the scrambler humming as it tried to maintain the data flow. Dialogue and tension escalated as they debated morality, consequences, and the cost of action, even in the face of imminent danger. In the heat of confrontation, Nathan revealed a new device, a non-lethal weapon already active, recording everything, sending it to a quantum blockchain distributed across thousands of nodes. Morrison faltered as the implications dawned on him. Every word, every action, every thought captured in unalterable quantum records. The group stood united, facing not just Morrison, but the weight of decades of corruption. Through a tense standoff, strategy and sheer nerve, they maintained control, ensuring the data was secured and transmitted to Sarah's network. By the end, the immediate threat was neutralized, the data core protected, and the realization dawned they were not merely survivors. They were architects of a new future. Standing on the observation deck, looking down at the galaxy below, Nathan, Lyra, and Sarah understood the enormity of their actions. It was not just about exposing a council. It was about proving that truth, courage, and hope could reshape even the darkest systems. The chapter closed with a quiet determination. The real work lay ahead, but for the first time, they were ready to face it together. Chapter 4. The Fall of Shadows. The galaxy was waking up. Not slowly, not quietly, but in chaos. News feeds flickered with reports of arrests, leaked files, and sudden resignations. Entire colonies were abuzz with rumors, speculation, and fear. Yet for Nathan, Lyra, and Sarah, the real work had only just begun. Standing on the observation deck of Terra Station, Nathan watched the sun of Earth's system set, bathing the station in molten gold. The council's been exposed, he said, voice low. But that's only the beginning. What comes next? Lyra leaned against the railing, her arms crossed. The galaxy won't just accept transparency. Half of them will fight us tooth and nail. The people who profited from the old order. They won't go quietly. Sarah stepped beside them, calm but focused, which is why we've been building this network. People who can implement change, stabilize systems, and prevent the collapse from turning into total chaos. We don't just topple the council. We replace it with something functional. Nathan nodded. A shadow organization turned open governance. Peacekeeping, not profiteering. That's the vision. But it's fragile. One wrong move and everything collapses. Lyra's copper eyes glinted with determination. Then we make sure it doesn't collapse. Section 1. Mobilizing the network in the command hub Sarah had secured. Holographic screens displayed real-time information from dozens of systems. Military fleets, corporate offices, and intelligence cells, all loyal to the cause, reported in. Admiral Reyes? Nathan asked. Yes, Sarah replied. He's personally overseeing the operations to arrest the remaining council loyalists. But we're relying on his discretion. One misstep and he could be compromised. Lyra tapped a holographic map of the galaxy. These regions are the most unstable. Colonies under heavy council influence. The people there will resist change. Then we focus on optics first, Nathan said. Show the evidence, expose the corruption, make the truth undeniable. Once they see what's been done, most will follow. Fear loses its power when knowledge spreads. Price, standing behind the main console, spoke up. The financial networks are frozen. Communication systems are under our control. But the council had contingencies. Dead man switches, rogue military units, energy collapses in several colonies. We need to neutralize them before they trigger panic. Nathan rubbed his forehead. We've got days, maybe hours, before the first contingencies activate. We move fast, or everything falls apart. Section 2. The first strike, a shuttle dropped through the planet's atmosphere, carrying a strike team led by Sarah herself. Nathan, Lyra, and Price accompanied her, coordinating operations from Orbital Command. Target is Colony Haskell, Sarah announced. Council loyalists have fortified key infrastructure, power grids, communication hubs. We hit them simultaneously, disable their control, and prevent civilian casualties. Lyra smirked. Simultaneous strikes. Feels like old battlefield tactics. Nathan glanced at her. Only with higher stakes. One mistake and millions could suffer. The shuttle docked and the team moved swiftly through the colony's abandoned industrial sector. Each corridor seemed empty, yet sensors indicated movement. Nathan's heart raced. Stay sharp, Lyra whispered. They'll be watching, waiting. Explosions rocked the outskirts, pre-planned diversions by Sarah's network. Loyalist squads scrambled, confused as automated drones neutralized defensive turrets. Nathan's device jammed security feeds, ensuring that the strike team moved unseen. Almost there, Price said, pointing to the command center at the colony's heart. Once we secure this, the power grids are ours. They breached the control hub, swiftly subduing the remaining loyalists. Nathan watched, tense, as Lyra disabled the final security protocol. For a moment, the silence was absolute. Then the city's lights flickered on, glowing under new management. Nathan exhaled. One down, Sarah checked the comms. And many more to go. Section 3. Moral dilemmas back on Terra Station. Nathan reviewed reports from the network. Across multiple systems, arrests, resignations, and sudden transparency measures had been enacted. Yet resistance was growing. Price approached him, expression grave. We've neutralized the Council's core, but some units loyal to old protocols have gone rogue. Civilian casualties are minimal, but fear is spreading. We need a public address. People need to hear the truth directly. Lyra crossed her arms. You want to risk exposing ourselves on a galactic broadcast? That's suicide if any loyalists intercept it. Nathan shook his head. It's the only way. If the people see our faces, see our message unfiltered, they'll know the Council isn't controlling us. That we're human, accountable, and transparent. Sarah nodded. Then we broadcast. But carefully. Every word must be measured, truthful, and inspiring. This isn't propaganda, it's evidence. It's the future. The trio recorded their message, exposing decades of manipulated wars, detailing the Council's corrupt actions, and introducing the network as a transparent, accountable alternative. Nathan felt the weight of responsibility. Millions would judge them by this broadcast. When it aired, the reaction was instantaneous. Across colonies, people paused, listened, and debated. Some cheered, some protested, and some panicked, but the truth could no longer be hidden. Section 4. Unforeseen consequences. Hours later, reports began to filter in. Some colonies experienced riots, not from anger at the new order, but from disbelief and chaos. Loyalist generals had activated emergency protocols in isolated regions, plunging power grids into darkness and cutting off communications. Lyra slammed her fist against the console. They're trying to scare people into submission. Nathan's voice was calm but firm. Then we respond faster. Contain the chaos. Show them we're capable. The moment we hesitate, the Council's old methods gain traction. Price outlined the next moves. Coordinated interventions in power-compromised systems, deploying relief teams to prevent civilian panic, and reinforcing colonies with loyal network members. Sarah glanced at Nathan. Every decision we make now, every move is being judged. Not by a council, but by the people. That's terrifying, isn't it? Nathan exhaled. Yes, but necessary. If we fail, they'll return. If we succeed, we show the galaxy that control can be replaced by choice and fear by truth. Lyra added, And we do it without becoming the monsters we replaced. That's the real challenge. Section 5. The bonds that hold later. When the immediate crises had subsided, Nathan, Lyra, and Sarah gathered on the observation deck. The galaxy below was still recovering, but the first signs of order and transparency were visible. People are already changing their approach, Sarah said, her voice calm. They've seen proof that accountability works. Lyra's gaze softened as she looked at the horizon. I never thought I'd feel hope again. Not after everything. But now maybe we can do this. Maybe we can build something better. Nathan nodded, taking her hand. We will. Together. Not just the three of us, but the entire network, the people who've chosen truth over fear. Sarah placed a hand on Nathan's shoulder. Your parents would be proud. They started this path, and now, for the first time, it's reaching fruition. But remember, we have to keep moving. The galaxy won't wait. Nathan glanced at the small communicator in his pocket, the alignment tool that had started everything. A simple device, yet powerful enough to change destinies. It begins here, he whispered. One step at a time. Systems, networks, hearts, all aligned toward a new future. Lyra smiled. Then let's take that step. Together. The camera pulled back, the observation deck small against the infinite expanse of space. Lights from countless colonies blinked like stars reborn. A galaxy beginning to awaken from decades of shadows. And amidst it all, Nathan, Lyra, and Sarah stood united. Not as soldiers or spies or siblings, but as architects of a new era. The calm was deceptive. For every colony that had accepted the new truth, there were others teetering on the brink of revolt. Not all loyalists had been captured. Some had retreated into hidden strongholds, pulling together remnants of the old Prometheus network. Their whispers became rumors. Their rumors, sparks of fear. Nathan stood in the command hub monitoring the situation. Data streams scrolled across the holoscreens showing unrest in the outer colonies. They've fortified themselves in the Andari sector, Sarah said, using old council protocols and private fleets. They won't come out voluntarily. Lyra's brow furrowed. So what, we bombard them? Risk civilian lives just to show dominance? Nathan shook his head. No, we win this with strategy and moral authority. If we become the thing we fought against, the galaxy will reject us. We need to fracture their ranks, not destroy them. Price adjusted her glasses, scanning reports. Some of them are already questioning loyalty. They're afraid of the public backlash, the quantum recordings. They know we see their moves. That fear can work in our favor, if we're careful. Section 1. The diplomatic gambit, a fleet of Nathan's allies approached the Andari stronghold under the guise of negotiation. Lyra piloted the lead shuttle, Nathan at her side, while Sarah coordinated comms with the scattered loyalists. Remember, Nathan said, we are not there to fight. We are there to offer choice. Truth and opportunity, not threats, Lyra smirked. I hope they like choices. As the shuttle entered orbit, holographic messages were projected across the enemy fleets. Nathan's voice addressed them directly. You have served shadows for decades. The Council manipulated you, controlled you, profited from your obedience. We offer you a new path, one of transparency, accountability, and choice. Align with us and you will be part of a true peacekeeping force. Resist and the galaxy will proceed without you, leaving only exposure and isolation. The response was mixed. Some ships slowly powered down, signaling surrender. Others remained in formation, engines humming. Weapons ready, Lyra muttered under her breath. Guess some never learn. Section 2. Personal stakes, meanwhile. Sarah received a secure comm from her network on Terra Station. Nathan, Lyra, you need to see this, she said urgently. A holoscreen revealed footage from a loyalist colony in chaos. Families were caught in crossfire as rogue units enforced old council directives. Children, much like Maya, were frightened and lost. Lyra's hand tightened around the railing. This is exactly what we wanted to prevent. Nathan's jaw set. Then we act. But carefully. Evacuate civilians first. Use the network. No unnecessary deaths, Price interjected. The moral dilemma isn't just about combat. It's about showing them that obedience to darkness has consequences, but they also have a chance to redeem themselves. That's why we're risking everything. Nathan glanced at Lyra. We're walking a fine line, and sometimes the line feels like it's breaking beneath our feet. Section 3. Fractured alliances negotiations began in earnest. Nathan, Lyra, and Sarah met with a faction of council loyalists aboard a neutral station. Tensions were palpable. One of the former council generals, Corin, leaned back, arms crossed. "You think transparency solves everything? You think showing people the truth is enough? You're naive." Nathan leaned forward. "We're not naive. We know fear drives obedience, but truth gives choice. That's what you never allowed your followers." Corin laughed bitterly. Choice gets people killed. Look at the colonies in chaos right now. People die when they are left to decide. That's why we were needed. Lyra stepped forward. "No, you were needed to manipulate, to profit. And yes, some will die because of chaos, but that's the risk of freedom. We won't make the choice for them anymore." Sarah added, "You can stand with us and help mitigate the chaos, or cling to the shadows and watch yourself become obsolete. The decision is yours, General." Corin's eyes flickered with uncertainty. The first cracks in his loyalty appeared. Section 4. The Moral Test Back in Orbit. Nathan reviewed the unfolding events with Price and Lyra. Reports indicated that several units had already defected, bringing vital intel and equipment. But others were preparing countermeasures. "We can't force them," Nathan said quietly. "We can guide them, show them the consequences of their actions, but ultimately they have to choose." Lyra's copper eyes softened. "It's terrifying to leave it to chance, but maybe that's what makes it real. People can choose good or bad, but it's their choice, not ours." Price nodded. "That's the difference between a system built on control and one built on trust. It's fragile, but it's worth it." Nathan allowed himself a brief smile. Fragile, worth it. Sounds like everything we've been fighting for. Section 5. Small Victories. Over the next days, the network coordinated multiple interventions. Rogue units were neutralized without loss of civilian life. Colonies previously under strict control began rebuilding governance with local leaders who had previously been silenced. Lyra and Nathan oversaw the integration of defected loyalists, showing them that redemption was possible. "It's not just about stopping the council," Nathan said. "It's about building something that lasts beyond fear, beyond obedience, beyond shadows." Sarah monitored the communications network. The first cracks in the old power structures are now visible. People are speaking openly, questioning authority, and creating dialogue that didn't exist before. The galaxy is waking up slowly, but waking up it is. Lyra's gaze softened as she looked at the planet below. "I never imagined hope could feel this. Fragile but alive." Nathan placed a hand on her shoulder. "Then we nurture it, protect it, guide it, and never forget the lives at stake. That's what makes us different. That's what makes this new order worth building." As the sun rose over Andari's horizon, golden light spilling over cities and fleets alike, the trio stood united, knowing that the fight for transparency, accountability, and genuine peace was far from over. But they had taken the first crucial steps. The shadows were breaking. The galaxy was beginning to choose. The victories of the last weeks were small but tangible. Colonies once gripped by fear had begun self-governance. Rogue units were defecting. The galaxy seemed, for the first time in decades, to breathe freely. But peace was never permanent. Nathan stood on the observation deck of the flagship Lumina, staring at the scattered colonies below. Lyra approached, her face tense. "They're regrouping," she said quietly. "Intelligence reports show former council agents consolidating in the Nabari expanse. They're using old networks and unmonitored routes. We knew this would happen." Nathan didn't look away from the holographic map. "They're desperate. And desperation is dangerous. But so is underestimating them. If we act rashly, we'll create martyrs. If we wait too long, they'll become ghosts." Price, monitoring comms at her station, frowned. "We've intercepted encrypted chatter. Someone is coordinating their actions. But it's not anyone we've seen before. The council's remnants? Maybe. Or someone entirely new. Whoever it is, they're organized and cautious." Sarah joined them, arms crossed. "Cautious doesn't mean invincible. They don't have the network, the information, or the public support we have. But they do have shadows. And shadows are slippery." Section 1. The Unknown Factor. The enemy remained unseen. Their actions indirect. Sabotage attempts hit minor supply routes. Colonies loyal to the new order reported false intelligence and internal disputes seeded by unknown agents. Lyra clenched her fists. "We're fighting ghosts. Every time we track one down, two more appear. It's like a hydra." Nathan nodded. "Then we need to illuminate the shadows. Transparency was our weapon against the Council. It'll work against whoever's trying to undermine us now. The first step, trace the communication nodes, expose the ringleaders, and show the galaxy that the chaos is orchestrated. Price tapped rapidly on the console. I've started isolating the nodes. Quantum tracing should reveal the signal origins within hours. Whoever they are, they won't stay hidden for long. Sarah's expression hardened. This isn't just about tactics. Whoever this is, they understand the Council's philosophy. Control through fear, obedience through secrecy. They want to prove that even after we dismantle the Council, the system can rise again. We can't let that happen. Section 2. The moral dilemma. In the briefing room, Nathan addressed the assembled network commanders. Holographic maps highlighted colonies still unstable. Some of you will see this as a chance to crush remaining loyalists. Nathan said, I understand the temptation. Revenge is human, but we do not replicate the mistakes of the past. We act to guide, to protect, to stabilize. A young commander, hesitant, raised his voice. Sir, if we hesitate, they'll rebuild. People will die. Don't we have a right to strike first? Lyra interjected, her tone firm but not unkind. Yes, we have the right. But the goal isn't dominance. It's trust. If we act as conquerors, we destroy the very hope we've worked to create. That's the test, moral clarity under pressure. Nathan's gaze swept over the room. History will judge us not by how many we defeated, but by how many we inspired. Choices, guidance, accountability, that's our strength. Section 3. Infiltration. Lyra and Nathan volunteered for the first infiltration mission into the Nabari expanse, accompanied by a small strike team. Their objective: locate the hidden ringleader coordinating the chaos and gather evidence to expose them publicly. The journey through the expanse was treacherous. Dense asteroid fields, abandoned warships, and spatial anomalies tested their navigation skills. Lyra's hands danced across the controls with precision. Nathan monitored sensors. We're picking up a low-frequency comm signature. Not Council standard. Unknown encryption. Whoever this is, they're hiding in plain sight, but they're confident. Lyra frowned. Confident doesn't mean invincible. They just think they're smarter than us. Let's see how that holds up. The team approached a derelict station orbiting a dim star. It looked abandoned, but subtle energy readings suggested active life inside. Section 4. Confrontation. Nathan's team docked silently. Magnetic boots clamped onto the station's hull as they moved through shadowed corridors. Every step was tense, every corner a potential ambush. In the central hub, they found a figure waiting, shrouded in dark armor, face obscured. A low, modulated voice echoed, "So the new peacekeepers come to play hero." Nathan stepped forward. "We're not here to fight. We're here to offer choice," the figure laughed. "Choice? You've dismantled one council, but you've done nothing to prevent the next from rising. I am the future they failed to create. I will bring order. The hard way." Lyra's weapon hummed to life. "Order built on fear is not peace. You're repeating their mistakes and you don't even see it." The shadow moved with uncanny speed, but Nathan had anticipated it. Using adaptive sensors and non-lethal suppression devices, the team neutralized the figure without casualties. As the armor was removed, the face of a known strategist, thought long loyal to the council, was revealed. His eyes flickered with shame and defiance. "You survived the collapse?" he whispered. "We did more than survive," Nathan said. "We exposed you, and the galaxy will judge you, not us." Section 5. Choice and Consequence. The strategist, now detained, offered insight into the hidden factions. "They'll scatter," he admitted. "Some will surrender, others will resist until they destroy themselves." Nathan considered this. "Then our work isn't just about confrontation, it's about guidance. Every choice we enable now will shape the next 50 years of peace or chaos. We have to be vigilant." Lyra placed a hand on his shoulder. "It's never ending, isn't it?" Nathan smiled faintly. "It's always worth it. Every small victory, every life saved, every mind changed. That's what builds a legacy." Price's voice came over comms. "We're tracking other cells. With this information, we can prevent widespread destruction and maintain the momentum of transparency. The network is holding. The galaxy is watching and learning." Nathan looked at Lyra and Sarah. "Then we continue. One mission, one choice, one colony at a time. We didn't start this fight to finish it in a day. We started it to build a future. And nothing, Not even shadows can stop that. As the team returned to the flagship, the stars stretched endlessly beyond the viewport, a galaxy waking from decades of manufactured darkness. Ready to embrace the difficult but hopeful dawn Nathan and his allies were determined to guide. The Nabari expanse had been only the beginning. Even as Nathan's team returned to Lumina, reports poured in from multiple sectors. Former Council loyalists were mobilizing, each claiming legitimacy, each seeking to exploit fear to regain control. Nathan studied the comm logs with growing concern. They've fractured into several factions, he said, voice low but firm. Not coordinated, but aggressive. Each wants to prove they are the rightful inheritors of the Council's power. Lyra leaned over his shoulder, eyes narrowing. And each thinks they're untouchable because we destroyed the last central command. They'll overreach if we let them. Sarah, ever meticulous, tapped her datapad. We can't confront them all at once. But we don't need to. If we focus on the nodes, the central figures, we can destabilize the rest. It's chess, not a brawl, Price interjected, voice sharp. Every move has consequences. We can't just dismantle them blindly. Civilians are caught in the middle. If we act too fast, we'll become the new oppressors. Nathan nodded. We'll act deliberately. Intelligence first, precision second, restraint always. This is what separates us from the Council and their successors. The network became a web of activity. Ships traveled between colonies, establishing communication lines, securing intelligence, and providing humanitarian aid. The same hands that once held weapons of war now carried medicine, tools, and guidance. Lyra led a team to one of the outer colonies, previously a stronghold of Council loyalists. We can't just take it over, she explained to her crew. We have to show them a different way, transparency, accountability, a choice. When the local governor resisted, citing fear of chaos without strict hierarchy, Sarah calmly explained the new framework. You don't need to surrender to us. You need to surrender the shadows that manipulate you. Here are the facts. Here are the options. Decide for yourself. Nathan watched from the observation deck via secure link. Every colony we convert peacefully strengthens the network. Every victory through trust rather than force sets the tone for the next conflict. Hours later, Price detected unusual encrypted traffic from the core of a heavily industrialized colony. Nathan, this isn't a standard communication. Someone's coordinating multiple cells. It's clever. Layers of quantum encryption, but I'm peeling them back. Lyra's expression hardened. So the ghosts aren't scattered. They're regrouping. They're smart enough to realize fragmented cells are vulnerable. Someone's directing them from the shadows. Nathan clenched his jaw. Time to meet this puppeteer. Gather every lead, every intercepted message. We go where they think they're untouchable. The team mobilized, with reconnaissance drones providing real-time maps of enemy movements. The Expanse's asteroid belts offered cover but also danger. Every maneuver had to be calculated, precise and morally sound. Arriving near the industrial colony, the team identified a command hub hidden beneath a decaying orbital station. Sensors showed multiple operatives inside, each coordinating smaller attacks across the region. Lyra whispered to Nathan, We take the main hub, capture the central strategist, disable the command nodes, and we do it without unnecessary casualties. Nathan's hand hovered over the non-lethal devices. Remember, we're building, not destroying. Each choice reinforces the idea that transparency works. Inside the hub, they encountered resistance. Guards equipped with stolen Council tech. Lyra's team moved like shadows, incapacitating rather than killing. Nathan hacked security panels, rerouting systems to isolate the hub from external comms. Finally, they reached the command room. There, seated amidst holographic displays, was the orchestrator, a former Council tactician known for ruthless efficiency. You've caused chaos, he said calmly. Do you think you can stop the inevitable? Nathan stepped forward. You're choosing fear over freedom. You can surrender, or you can continue, and the galaxy will see you for what you are, a shadow clinging to control. The tactician's eyes flickered. And if I refuse? Lyra smiled faintly. Then you'll face accountability publicly, transparently. The choice is yours, but the evidence already exists. With careful negotiation, the tactician agreed to surrender. Nathan recorded every step, ensuring that the process was documented and verifiable, proof for any future disputes. Back on Lumina, the team reviewed the mission. The tactician's surrender was a milestone. It showed that even the most entrenched loyalists could change when confronted with truth rather than violence. Sarah reflected, "This is the hardest part. Convincing people that power doesn't have to come from fear, that trust can be stronger than weapons." Price added, "We're not just fighting remnants. We're fighting centuries of ingrained ideology. It's slow work, but the right work." Lyra nodded, "And every time we succeed, it reinforces the choice. Every victory proves that transparency, accountability, and moral clarity can prevail." Nathan looked out at the stars, the weight of responsibility heavy but steady. The council thought their ideas were eternal. But ideas evolve, people evolve, and we'll guide that evolution, not dictate it. We'll lead, not dominate. As the flagship departed the expanse, the galaxy slowly adjusted. Colonies began self-governance, rogue units surrendered, and intelligence from Price's network preempted several minor conflicts. Yet Nathan knew the work was far from complete. Shadows would always resurface, testing the boundaries of choice and morality, but for the first time the network operated with purpose, principle, and hope. Lyra touched Nathan's arm. "We've done so much already, but I know there's more to come." Nathan smiled faintly. "Then we meet it together. Every challenge, every shadow, every choice. That's the work of peace. That's the work we started." From the observation deck, the trio watched stars drift past, each one a colony, a world, a chance for hope. The galaxy was waking from its long nightmare, and for the first time, Nathan, Lyra, and Sarah understood the true meaning of leadership. Guiding through truth, empowering through choice, and protecting through action. The galaxy was waking, but shadows never stayed buried for long. Despite the surrender of the former tactician and several council remnants, intelligence reports indicated a coordinated offensive emerging from the farthest edges of known space. Nathan stood on the bridge of Lumina, staring at the holographic projection of the galaxy. Red blips marked rebel strongholds, isolated but determined. Lyra approached, her expression tense. "They're hitting multiple colonies simultaneously," she said. "It's a distraction, a test, and maybe revenge all at once." Nathan clenched his jaw. "They want to prove the Council's ideology still matters. They want to show the galaxy that our peace is fragile." Sarah's fingers danced across her datapad. "It's not just that. They're trying to force us to make mistakes. Any heavy-handed move, any civilian casualty, they'll exploit it to reclaim legitimacy." Price interjected, voice calm but firm. "We've faced them before. We have experience. And now we have something they don't: transparency and the trust of the people." Section 1. Coordinated Defense. The first strike hit a mining colony in the Helios sector. Rogue factions targeted the energy plants, aiming to destabilize the system. Nathan and Lyra deployed drones to secure the infrastructure while teams evacuated civilians. "Non-lethal suppression," Lyra reminded her squad. "Remember, we're setting an example." One operative hesitated, seeing heavily armed insurgents approaching. Lyra's eyes hardened. "You're not here to fight for power. You're here to protect lives and prove a new path is possible. Take the shot, but restrain, don't destroy." The team moved like shadows among the machinery, incapacitating attackers and redirecting automated defenses to contain the threat. By the time the rogue forces realized the colony was secure, the invaders were neutralized without a single civilian casualty. Meanwhile, Sarah coordinated a coalition of newly liberated colonies. "We can't just fight every battle," she told Nathan. "We have to create alliances, communicate openly, and ensure the colonies understand the truth about the Council." Nathan nodded. "We'll show them the difference between fear-driven obedience and informed choice. Every colony that joins strengthens the network and weakens the shadows." A holographic call came from a reluctant governor of a border system. "You expect me to trust you after decades of deception?" he asked. Lyra leaned forward, her voice steady. "We don't ask for blind trust. We offer transparency, access to all records, proof of our actions, and a choice. You can join willingly or remain neutral, but if you attack, the galaxy will see who initiated conflict." The governor hesitated, scanning the data and realizing the truth. "And the Council remnants?" "They're contained," Nathan said. "Their network is being dismantled node by node. We're not perfect, but we're accountable." The governor nodded slowly. "Then I will join. For my people, not for you." Sarah smiled faintly. "Exactly. That's how peace works. Choice, not coercion." The intelligence team identified a new leader among the rogue factions, a mysterious figure known only as the Warden. Their strategy was methodical, aggressive, and devastatingly efficient. Nathan's hand hovered over the bridge console. If we face the Warden directly, it has to be smart. We can't just throw ships at him. We need precision, strategy, and coordination with every allied colony. Lyra's gaze sharpened. We need to force him into a corner. Expose him. Make him show his face and prove to the galaxy that transparency and integrity win. Price added, we have the advantage. The Warden assumes fear is the only motivator, but the galaxy has seen proof of another way. Every colony that resists his influence weakens him. The Warden's forces attacked the Arcturus Relay, a major communication hub connecting multiple colonies. The team prepared for confrontation, knowing that civilians could be caught in the crossfire. Lyra turned to Nathan. This is the ultimate test. We can't just defeat them. We have to do it in a way that reinforces our message. Nathan activated the non-lethal systems. Everyone remember the goal: restraint, protection, exposure. Show them why the old ways are obsolete. The battle began. Rogue ships charged, but automated defenses rerouted attacks to minimize harm. Lyra's squad moved among enemy boarding parties, incapacitating them efficiently. Every move was calculated, every action documented for transparency. In the command center, Nathan confronted the Warden via HoloLink. The figure's voice was cold, mechanical. You think the galaxy will follow your naive ideals? Power isn't granted through morality, it's taken. Nathan stepped closer, voice unwavering. We're not taking power. We're proving that truth, choice, and accountability can replace fear and manipulation. Your methods are obsolete. For a tense moment, silence hung over the comm. Then the Warden's forces faltered, seeing their leader exposed and powerless against a disciplined, morally driven counteroffensive. When the battle ended, Nathan, Lyra, Sarah, and Price stood amid the hub, watching transmissions of the Warden's surrender spread across the galaxy. The victory was more than strategic, it was symbolic. Lyra exhaled, relief mixed with fatigue. They finally see it. Not just that we can stop them, but that we won't become what they were. Nathan nodded. Every colony we liberated, every rogue faction that surrenders, reinforces a simple truth. The galaxy can choose differently. And when it does, it thrives, Sarah added. But the work isn't over. Shadows will always return. The difference is now we're ready and the galaxy knows it has options. Price looked out at the stars. We've done more than survive. We've built a network of trust, choice, and accountability. That's a legacy even the Council couldn't imagine. Nathan placed a hand on Lyra's shoulder. And we'll continue. Every challenge, every shadow, every choice, together. Lyra smiled faintly. Together. And maybe one day the galaxy will remember us not for battles fought, but for lives protected and choices preserved. The stars stretched endlessly before them, a canvas for the future, a galaxy awakening to truth, and a network of allies ready to guide it into a new era. The galaxy seemed quieter now, but the silence was deceptive. Even as colonies began to rebuild and networks of trust expanded, remnants of the old Prometheus Council lingered, lurking in shadows and waiting for the right moment to strike back. Nathan stood on the observation deck of the Lumina, gazing at the spinning starfields below. Lyra joined him carrying a datapad filled with the latest reports. They've consolidated their remaining forces, she said, voice low. Small fleets, hidden bases, rogue commanders loyal to the old ideology. They're waiting for us to slip. Nathan exhaled slowly. They underestimate what we've built. They think fear still governs the galaxy, but it doesn't, not the same way. People are choosing differently. Sarah appeared from the corridor, her face grim. The Council remnants are desperate. They've found an unregistered mining world near the Hyades cluster and are stockpiling weapons. If they go public, it could destabilize half a dozen systems. Price joined them, her expression tight with concern. We can't allow another manufactured conflict. But if we strike too aggressively, we risk alienating those who are just now learning the truth. It's a delicate balance. Nathan activated the holographic display showing star charts and fleet positions. We need precision, he said. Not just firepower. We hit where it matters. Their leadership, their communications, their moral high ground. We do this without turning the colonies into battlefields. Lyra leaned closer, scanning the tactical overlays. We can isolate their command nodes and force surrender without civilian casualties. But we'll need infiltration teams. Quick, stealthy, and coordinated with our allies, Sarah nodded. I've already mobilized agents from our extended network. People who know the sectors, who know the old council's tendencies. They're ready to act at a moment's notice, Price added. We also have the quantum recordings. The more we broadcast, the more the galaxy sees the truth. Any aggressive move against us will be recorded, analyzed, and exposed instantly. Transparency itself becomes a weapon. Nathan's hand hovered over the console, thoughtful. The old council wanted to control perception through fear. We'll control perception through truth. Let's remind the galaxy why we exist and why the shadows must end. The team divided into strike units. Lyra led a stealth squad toward the mining world, navigating asteroid fields and deep space hazards. Nathan coordinated remotely, ensuring communications remained encrypted yet instantaneous. As they approached, hidden sensors detected heavy shielding around the Council Remnant's command center. Lyra's eyes narrowed. This is going to be tricky. They've fortified themselves, but we know their weaknesses. Overconfidence, arrogance, reliance on old fear tactics. Using the network's intelligence, Lyra guided her team through the labyrinth of tunnels and chambers. Each step was silent, precise. Non-lethal suppression devices disabled guards and security drones. Every action was logged, every interaction captured for the quantum blockchain. At the core of the facility, they found the archivist, a high-ranking council member known for orchestrating media manipulation. She turned, stunned to see intruders. Lyra stepped forward. It's over. You've lost control. Every action you've taken is being broadcast across the galaxy. The archivist's voice trembled, a mixture of defiance and panic. You think exposing us ends this? There are contingencies. Deadman switches. Hidden alliances. You can't undo decades of manipulation. Nathan's voice crackled through the comm link. We've accounted for that. Your contingency plans are public knowledge now. Every colony, every fleet, every network can see the truth. You can't manipulate what everyone can verify. For the first time, the archivist faltered. Lyra's team secured the facility, neutralizing the threat without casualties. Back on the Lumina, Nathan debriefed with Sarah and Price. Every action we take is a statement, he said. We're not just dismantling the old council. We're proving a new model works, one of choice, accountability, and protection. Price nodded. But we also have to prepare for resistance. Not everyone will accept transparency immediately. Some will cling to fear because it's familiar. Sarah added, that's why the network is crucial. We're not just fighting battles. We're building institutions, relationships, and trust. This is how we prevent the old order from rising again. Lyra leaned back, exhaustion and relief mixing. It's hard to imagine that we started from a single station, a single alignment tool, and now we're reshaping the galaxy. Nathan reached for her hand. And we're not done yet. Every colony that joins, every faction that sees the truth, it's all part of the foundation we're building. It's fragile, yes, but stronger than anything fear-based control could ever achieve. The reports kept coming. Rogue forces regrouping, council loyalists attempting sabotage, isolated skirmishes flaring. But the network held. The message was spreading. Transparency defeats manipulation. Choice replaces fear. Nathan and Lyra stood in the observation deck watching a new sunrise across the galaxy. The council remnants won't give up easily, Lyra said. No, Nathan replied. But neither will we. And every time they try, the galaxy sees them for what they truly are. Shadows can't survive in the light. Sarah joined them, a small smile on her face. And we have allies everywhere now. People who would have been afraid before are stepping up. They're learning to choose differently, Price added. The final battle isn't just about fleets or weapons. It's about ideas. If we hold true to transparency and accountability, even the fiercest opposition crumbles when the truth is revealed. Lyra glanced at Nathan. Then we finish this, not by destroying, but by proving a better way exists together. Nathan nodded. Together. For the galaxy, for choice, and for the lives we protect. Every step from now on matters. The galaxy stretched endlessly, full of stars, full of potential. And for the first time in decades, it was waking up not to fear, but to hope. The galaxy held its breath. Systems once controlled through fear, deception, and manipulation were awakening to the truth. But old power never surrenders quietly. The remnants of the Prometheus Council, though exposed, had one final gambit. Nathan, Lyra, Sarah, and Price convened on the bridge of the Lumina. the stars outside spinning like jewels against the void. They've mobilized what's left of their private fleets, Sarah said, fingers flying over the tactical interface. It's not enough to challenge the Alliance militarily, but they're desperate. Expect unpredictable strikes and sabotage attempts. Price frowned. They'll target communication hubs first, try to cut off our network, disrupt the quantum blockchain. If they succeed, the message gets diluted, their narrative can survive. Nathan ran a hand over his face. Then we hit them before they hit us, but not with brute force, precision. We disable, expose, and neutralize. Lyra's eyes gleamed with determination. And we do it without destroying the systems or harming civilians. That's the difference. That's why they're already losing. The Lumina approached the largest hidden stronghold of the Council remnants, a fortress station orbiting a dead star in the cerulean void. Cloaked drones scouted ahead, mapping the labyrinthine corridors and energy shields. Nathan turned to the team. We go in coordinated waves. Lyra, you lead the infiltration team. Sarah, you handle the internal communications and oversee the surrender negotiations. Price, you manage fleet positioning and external support. I'll coordinate from the command bridge. Lyra nodded, loading her non-lethal weapons and scanning the schematics. Every corridor, every security checkpoint, every automated turret already accounted for. It's like walking through their own memories, she muttered. Every weakness they think hidden, we know. The first strike wave launched silently, infiltrating the station through emergency cargo ports and maintenance shafts. Magnetic boots clamped against metal floors. Every step precise, every action deliberate. Guards were subdued with tranquilizers. Systems were hacked in real time, and the quantum recording devices captured everything for public release. Deep within the fortress, the last council leader, a man known only as Velan, awaited them. He had survived decades of manipulations and now faced the unthinkable: exposure, accountability, and the collapse of the empire he helped orchestrate. Velan's voice echoed in the central chamber. Do you think this changes anything? Ideas cannot be killed. Fear cannot be eradicated. Lyra stepped forward, weapon lowered. It's not about killing ideas. It's about proving a better way exists. Choice, truth, transparency. You never gave people a chance. We are, Velan sneered. Naive children playing at governance. You cannot control the chaos you've unleashed. Nathan's voice was calm but firm. We're not controlling. We're guiding. And you? You're finished. Your manipulations, your wars, your secrets, they're all public now. The galaxy sees the truth. The quantum blockchain activated across every channel. Every system, every fleet, every colony received a complete record of the Council's crimes. Velan's fury turned to disbelief. No spin, no manipulation could survive the combined weight of evidence, strategy, and witness accounts. With the Council remnants neutralized, the team focused on rebuilding. Communications restored, military units reassigned, colonies given autonomy with oversight and accountability. Sarah coordinated diplomacy, ensuring former Council loyalists were integrated into governance structures under strict transparency laws. Price oversaw the reconstruction of fleets and defense systems, making certain that no hidden cabals could regain power. Nathan and Lyra traveled to multiple colonies, witnessing the first true choices made without fear or coercion. Communities began to rebuild. Education programs were established, and former soldiers of manipulated campaigns found purpose in protective rather than destructive roles. In the quiet of a refugee settlement, Nathan and Lyra walked hand in hand with Maya, the little girl from the convoy. Children played in open fields, laughter echoing under alien suns. Lyra looked at Nathan. We've done it. We've changed the rules, but it's still fragile. One mistake, one corruption. It could all collapse. Nathan nodded, thoughtful. Yes, but the difference now is the galaxy chooses. They have the truth. We've set a precedent. Power without accountability cannot survive for long. Maya tugged at Nathan's sleeve. Are you really going to stay with me forever? Lyra knelt, smiling at the girl. Forever is a long time, Maya, but we'll always be here for you. That's a promise. Nathan joined them, feeling a weight lift from decades of doubt and guilt. For the first time, the future seemed something they could build, not something they had to survive. Section 5, The Legacy of Choice on. The observation deck of the Lumina. Nathan, Lyra, Sarah, and Price looked out over the galaxy. A new dawn was rising, literally and metaphorically. The stars seemed brighter, the planets more vibrant. Nathan spoke quietly. The council believed people were sheep. They were wrong. Give people truth, give them choice, and most will choose rightly. Those who don't, that's what we're here for. To guide, not control. To protect, not manipulate. Lyra rested her head on his shoulder. It's beautiful. Hard, dangerous, but beautiful. Sarah smiled, her hand resting on Price's arm. We've started something bigger than revenge. Something lasting, something human, and beyond. Nathan glanced at the alignment tool in his pocket, the small device that had sparked it all. From a simple tool to a galaxy-wide movement. Funny how things grow. Lyra laughed softly. From fixing circuits to fixing worlds. They watched as a new era unfolded. One built not on fear, manipulation, or control, but on truth, transparency, and choice. The Prometheus Council's shadow was gone, replaced with the light of accountability and hope. And in that light, Nathan, Lyra, and Maya took the first steps into a future they would build together. One decision, one colony, and one life at a time.